I'm a 28-year-old man, married to my wife, Sarah, who's 26. We've been together for 6 years, dating for 4 before getting married, and we've been planning to start a family soon. My relationship with my mother, who's 52, has always been complicated. She raised me and my younger brother Tim, 24, on her own after my dad left when I was 10 and Tim was 6. We struggled financially, and Mom worked multiple jobs to make ends meet, leaving me to care for Tim. I cooked meals and helped him with homework while she worked late. Despite our hardships, I admired her determination. As I grew up, I realized that my mom relied on me emotionally more than she should have. She talked to me about her work and personal problems, even when I was still a teenager. I felt like I had to be strong for her, taking on a lot of responsibility early in life. By the time I was 22 and had my first real job as an entry-level accountant, I started helping her financially. At first, it was small things like buying groceries or paying a bill, and I didn't think much of it. I felt it was my duty after all she'd done for us. When I met Sarah at 24, she worked as a nurse, and we clicked immediately. As we got serious, Sarah noticed how much I was helping my mom and expressed concern. She worried I was enabling my mom's dependence, but I dismissed it at the time, thinking Sarah didn't understand the situation. Over the next few years, as Sarah and I got engaged and married, my financial support for my mom increased. My income was growing, and there always seemed to be a new crisis: car repairs, medical bills. I just couldn't say no. Sarah and I had frequent discussions about it. She worried that my mom was taking advantage of my generosity, and that it might affect our future, especially with our plans to buy a house and start a family. A significant portion of my income was going to help my mom, but I assured Sarah that it was temporary, that Mom just needed help getting back on her feet. 6 months ago, everything shifted. My mom called me, crying, saying she was behind on rent and needed $2,000 to avoid eviction. Without thinking twice, I transferred the money. But a week later, I noticed a strange charge on my bank statement for an online casino. I usually didn't question her expenses, but something felt off this time. After digging into her transactions, I discovered she had used most of the money on gambling. I was furious. When I confronted her, she broke down, admitting she had developed a gambling problem over the past year. She claimed she was trying to win enough money to pay me back and become financially independent. I told her I couldn't continue supporting her if she was going to gamble the money away, and insisted she get help. She promised to stop gambling and seek help, and for a couple of months, things seemed to improve. She stopped asking for money, and I thought the tough love had worked. Sarah and I started refocusing on our future, looking at houses and discussing when to start trying for a baby. Then, last week, everything fell apart. Sarah came home from work visibly upset. My mom had called her at the hospital, accusing me of cheating with my ex-girlfriend Lisa. I hadn't spoken to Lisa in years, since we briefly dated in college long before I met Sarah. I was blindsided by the accusation, but what hurt most was that Sarah didn't know what to believe. My mom claimed to have proof in the form of text messages between Lisa and me. I gave Sarah my phone without hesitation, knowing I had nothing to hide. But the damage was already done. The seed of doubt had been planted. Sarah said she needed time to process everything and went to stay with her sister. Now, I'm trying to make sense of why my mom would do this. Is it revenge for cutting off her financial support? Has her gambling addiction driven her to such extremes? I'm caught in the middle, not knowing how to fix it. I love my mom, but I'm starting to see how toxic our relationship has been. At the same time, I'm terrified of losing Sarah, the woman I want to spend my life with. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since this all happened, and things have only gotten worse. Sarah hasn't come home, and we've barely spoken aside from a few texts. She's made it clear she's not ready to talk face to face. In one of her messages, she said she's unsure what to believe anymore. That hit me hard. After 6 years of trust, it's been shattered by my mom's lies, and I don't know how to rebuild it. I confronted my mom about the accusations. At first, she denied everything, saying she was only looking out for me. But the more I pressed her, the more her story unraveled. After hours of back and forth, my mom finally admitted she had made up the entire story. Her explanation: she believed Sarah was going to leave me eventually and thought she was protecting me by trying to break us up first. I was in disbelief. How could she do something so cruel? When I asked her, she couldn't seem to grasp the seriousness of her actions. It turned out she had fabricated the text messages she claimed to have. Using an old phone I'd given her years ago, she created fake conversations and showed screenshots to Sarah. The level of deception was staggering. I've decided to cut off all contact with my mom for now. She continues to call and text, alternating between apologies and trying to justify her actions, but I'm not responding. I need to focus on saving my relationship with Sarah. My brother Tim, surprisingly, has been a source of support. When I finally told him what happened, he wasn't as shocked as I expected. He revealed that he had stopped talking to Mom months ago after she borrowed money from him and gambled it away, just like she did with me. Tim shared some stories of his own that shed light on how manipulative our mom has been over the years. He mentioned times when she pitted us against each other or invented emergencies to get money or attention. Comparing notes with him has opened my eyes to the patterns in her behavior. I've been reflecting a lot on my relationship with my mom and realizing how much she's used guilt and emotional manipulation to keep me tethered to her. I'm angry at her, but also at myself for not seeing it sooner. Sarah had tried to warn me, but I wasn't ready to listen. A few days ago, Sarah's sister reached out to say that Sarah is still deeply hurt, but is considering talking things through. I'm hopeful, but I know there's no quick fix for this kind of betrayal. I've been thinking about what I want to say to Sarah when we finally talk. I'd want her to know I'm committed to setting clear boundaries with my mom and that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild our trust. But I'm scared it might be too late. In the meantime, I've been keeping busy. I've thrown myself into work, started therapy to work through my family issues, and even joined a support group for people with family members struggling with gambling addictions. It's been helpful to talk to others who understand what I'm going through. I'm also thinking about what my relationship with my mom might look like in the future, if we have one at all. I know I can't cut her off entirely. She's still my mom, and I worry about her. But I also know I can't keep enabling her behavior or letting her interfere in my life. This entire ordeal has made me realize how much I've neglected my own needs. I've always been focused on taking care of everyone else, and now, as I face the possibility of losing my marriage, I'm confronting some hard truths about the choices I've made. I hope Sarah will be willing to work through this with me, but I'm also preparing myself for the possibility that she won't. Either way, I know I have a lot of work to do on myself and my relationships. I just hope it's not too late to save the most important one. Update 2. It's been another month, and I wish I had better news. Sarah finally agreed to meet with me last week. We went for a walk in the park near our house, a place we used to spend a lot of time together. As soon as I saw her, I could tell something had changed. She seemed distant, avoiding eye contact. We made small talk about work and the weather, but it felt strange to discuss such mundane things with so much unresolved between us. Finally, Sarah got to the real reason for our meeting. She told me she'd been doing a lot of thinking. While she believed I hadn't cheated on her, the fact that my mom was able to cause such chaos in our relationship made her feel vulnerable. She feared that even if we reconciled, my mom would always be a problem in our lives. I reassured her that I'd cut off contact with my mom and was committed to maintaining strong boundaries. I told her about my therapy and the support group I joined. But Sarah said it wasn't just about my mom anymore. This situation had made her question whether we were truly right for each other. She brought up past arguments about my family and how she'd always felt like she came second. She said she still loved me, but she wasn't sure if love was enough to overcome all the issues we faced. Hearing Sarah say these things was incredibly painful. I wanted to argue, to tell her we could work through anything together, but I could see in her eyes that she had already made up her mind. Sarah suggested we take some time apart to think about what we truly want. She proposed a trial separation of 3 months. During this time, we would live separately and limit our contact. At the end of the 3 months, we would reassess and decide whether to work on our relationship or end it for good. I agreed to the separation, even though it was the last thing I wanted. It felt like I was losing my best friend and partner, but I knew that pushing Sarah to stay would only make things worse. We spent the next hour discussing the logistics. She would continue staying with her sister while I stayed in our apartment. We worked out how to manage our shared finances and agreed only to contact each other if absolutely necessary. As we said goodbye, Sarah hesitated, squeezed my hand, and told me she was sorry it had come to this. It took every ounce of strength not to break down right there. Since that meeting, I've been trying to focus on myself. I've continued therapy and picked up new hobbies to keep my mind occupied. I joined a local hiking group and have been spending more time outdoors, which has helped clear my head. Meanwhile, dealing with the fallout from cutting off contact with my mom has been another challenge. She's been spreading lies to family and friends, claiming Sarah left me because she couldn't handle our family. It's frustrating, but I'm trying to stay above it and not engage. Tim has kept me updated on our mom's situation, and apparently, she's still gambling and asking other family members for money. It's hard to hear, but it reassures me that setting boundaries was the right decision. As the days pass, I swing between hope and despair. Part of me believes this time apart will help Sarah see that we can overcome this obstacle together. But another part of me is terrified that she'll realize she's happier without me. For now, all I can do is focus on becoming a better version of myself. Whether Sarah and I end up together or not, I need to address my own issues and learn to set healthier boundaries. It's a tough journey, but I'm committed to seeing it through. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I'm writing this with a heavy heart. Sarah and I are officially separated. After the trial separation, we met to discuss our future, and it became clear that the trust between us had been irreparably damaged. We tried couples counseling for a few sessions, hoping a professional could help us work through our issues. We talked about the impact my mom's actions had on our relationship, but we also uncovered deeper problems that we had been ignoring. Sarah shared that she had always felt like she was competing with my family for my attention and loyalty. Even before the incident with my mom, she had been unhappy with how much of our resources, both financial and emotional, were being directed towards my family. I realized I had been so focused on trying to take care of everyone else that I had neglected my relationship with Sarah. I thought I was doing the right thing by helping my family, but now I see that it came at the cost of my marriage. After much discussion and soul-searching, we both agreed that the best thing for us was to go our separate ways. It was an incredibly difficult decision, but we both felt it was necessary for our individual growth and happiness. We've begun the process of dividing our assets and working out the logistics of our separation. It's been challenging, but we're trying to keep things amicable. We've agreed to minimal contact for now to give each other space to heal. As for my mom, I still haven't spoken to her since everything happened. Tim keeps me updated, and it seems she still doesn't grasp the gravity of what she did. She's convinced herself that I'll eventually forgive her and that things will return to normal. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. In the meantime, I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. I moved into a new apartment and am establishing new routines. Therapy is helping me work through my family issues, and I'm learning to set healthier boundaries. Work has been a welcome distraction, and I've taken on new projects at the accounting firm that keep me busy. I've also reconnected with friends I had neglected during my marriage. This journey has been full of ups and downs. Some days I feel optimistic about the future and excited about the possibilities ahead. Other days, The loneliness and regret hit hard, and I find myself missing Sarah and the life we had planned together. But I'm taking it one day at a time and focusing on personal growth. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I'm done letting other people's problems control my life. It's a painful lesson, but one I needed to learn. For now, I'm working on finding a balance between supporting my family and taking care of myself. It's not easy, but I'm committed to creating a healthier, more fulfilling life.